After creating the updated car setups for Japan and China, next up is Miami, and this is a track that's really grown on me and a track that I'm actually really enjoying in F1 24. This is a race orientated setup, and it's an updated car setup of our old Miami setup, completely different in some ways. Starting with the aero, I've gone with wings of 24 and 13, and this is slightly lower than our pre-patch car setup. It's targeted at really just loosening the rear of the car a little bit more after the handling patch. The move to a low downforce car setup ensures we're competitive down that incredibly long straight. I found that the car is incredibly quick through the twisty parts of the track compared to the AI, even when set to 110, and you can really gain a lot of time through the slow turns 11 to 16 sequence. If you're trying for a fast time trial or qualifying time, I'd recommend adding say 5 to 10 points to both the front and rear wings, bringing them to something like 30 and 17 for example. With the transmission, I've set the on-throttle diff on the lower side at 35%, which will help with traction out of the slower corners. You do need to watch your throttle input out of 17 as things can still get really loose. I've then set the off-throttle at 35% for good rotation and the engine braking at 70%. For the geometry, go with the camber far left at -3.5 and -2.2, and this will be the norm for pretty much every setup so far and will continue with the remaining tracks. Then opt for a toe setup of 0 on the front and 0.11 on the rear. Set the front suspension to 40 and the rear to just 5, which is a pretty huge offset, but it does really help the front of the car remain incredibly responsive, and the rear still remains compliant. Then opt for anti-roll bars of 16 and 10, and these are higher than our pre-patch setup, and it's designed to give us more mechanical grip. For the ride height, I kept things balanced, if not a little on the higher side at 24 and 58. Go with 100% brake pressure like normal, and a brake bias of 55%. And you can move this down to 54 if you experience any front wheel lock-in, but 55% is a good balance through an entire lap if you prefer to just set it and forget it. Now I've gone with tyre pressures of 29 and 28 psi on the front tyres. In this year's game, uneven tyre wear and different temperatures between left and right sides is a real big issue, so it's why I quite often set uneven tyre pressures on the front of the car. Then I've gone with 26.5 psi on both rear tyres, and that will round out our updated Miami car setup. This will potentially be a little bit looser than our original car setup, or is designed to be that way, because the handling patch introduced a lot more understeer, so we're now designing our car setup to kind of mitigate that and make them rotate a little bit better. But let me know in the comments below what you think of this setup and any of the updated car setups I've released so far. And for now guys, I will see you on track.